The dream to open a seminary was born 35 years ago in Cuenca, Ecuador. There was such a need for pastors and leaders to have the opportunity to study, as most had been put into positions without prior training. These studies would allow them to not be easily swayed by false doctrines. My parents, Jorge and Lynn Mogrovejo, with me, their 3-month-old baby, left Ecuador for the United States in order to pursue theological studies so they could return to Ecuador and start a seminary. 7 years later, our family of now 5, including my brothers, Jeremy and Jonathan, moved back to Ecuador, and in 1995, the doors of SEMBEC, the Biblical Evangelical Seminary of Cuenca, were opened. I watched intently as my parents and others worked hard to open the seminary and then teach. With the help of God, the seminary flourished. In 2003, it was my turn to study. I attended Bethel, a Christian college in Indiana. I received an associate's in youth ministry and biblical studies, and then a bachelor's degree in psychology and Christian counseling. The seminary had rented facilities for 14 years but was finally able to buy land and build in 2009. At the SEMBEC graduation of 2011, a graduate invited his brother, Napoleon. That was the beginning of our story. We were married the following year. Napo had worked in ministry for most of his life, including youth leader, worship director, and even part of a traveling music team, among other things. He had not had the opportunity for theological studies. This was where his seminary education began. In 2015, he graduated from SEMBEC. We knew God was calling us to full-time ministry, but we were unsure where God was calling us. We moved from Ecuador to Virginia with our 2 boys, David and Benjamin. We both found ourselves working in full-time ministry. I, with children at a church daycare, and Napo as the newly ordained pastor of a Hispanic ministry. As we worked, we saw the hand of God preparing us to return to Ecuador. He was opening doors for us to work with children. He wanted us to touch the hearts of those he would call to ministry. The evangelical Christian population has grown in the last 20 years in Ecuador from 1.5% to about 14%. Most children go to public schools, but the education level is so low that upon graduation, only about half are able to pass the test to get into college. God wanted us to open a school with God-centered education that would transform the minds of children and widen their horizons. A school that would provide Bible-based classes and Christian values that are slowly being erased from our world. This level of education that will not only permit them to succeed in life, but also prepare them for a future in ministry. Thank you for helping us reach these children, the future leaders of Ecuador and the world.